As a mindset facilitator and strategic intervention life coach, Naima Spencer specializes in transformative mindset change and self-improvement. Her journey into this field began with a profound realization of how a powerful mindset can conquer fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. As an immigrant who moved from Morocco to the States 25 years ago in pursuit of the American dream, she was faced with so many challenges and ended up working minimum wage jobs for 8 years before she was able to gather enough courage to go back to school and start changing her life. By shifting her thoughts and eliminating self-sabotaging beliefs, she transferred her life into one of purpose and empowerment, going from a minimum wage job to having top secret clearance and becoming a CIA officer for 12 years, to now living her purpose by helping others turn their lives around and break through limiting beliefs through mindset mastery. With years of dedicated practice and training, Naima has developed effective methods to instill essential mindsets in managers and leaders, and her mission is to inspire individuals to excel in both their professional and personal lives. Welcome to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to come on. All right, so we're going to go right into the questions. And excuse me one second. I want to make sure my phone is turned off. Okay. All right, so question one. Can you share more about your journey from Morocco to the United States and what motivated you to keep pushing forward despite the challenges you may have faced?
Yeah, you already talked about some of that.
Mhm.
It's been, I think, over 26 years now since I moved from Morocco to the States in pursuit of the American dream. And as you can probably imagine, like many other immigrants, I was faced with so many challenges. And for me, the number one was the language barrier. I did not speak English when I came here. I was able to read it. I could read it and understand it, but I couldn't understand people when they spoke to me. A lot of financial struggles, as you can imagine,
Mm.
and moments of doubt. I had a lot of moments of doubt in the beginning. Now I look back and I realize that I was asking myself a lot of unintelligent questions like, what am I doing here? I don't think I can make it. I don't think this is for me. And you can imagine those moments of doubt can be really, really painful, But what made a difference for me is when I started getting into personal growth and I started reading a lot of self-help books and I began to understand how things really work. I just refused to take a step backward. I decided at that moment that I have to keep going. I have to keep moving forward. Something is going to change for the better, but I have to keep moving forward. And I just refused to let my circumstances define me, basically. I immersed myself in personal development. I started reading a lot about the power of the mind, the power of our beliefs, and honestly, my life began to transform. My reality began to shift. And I know it doesn't happen overnight. It's
Mhm.
definitely a journey. And that's why I'm so passionate about this because I learned firsthand that when you shift your mindset, you shift your reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is true. I sometimes even now I have to catch myself because I will have these thoughts either like around like self-doubt or
Mhm.
like self-sabotaging thoughts. I have to
Yeah.
really catch myself sometimes. So it is very important that we change our mindset. So what I wanted to ask you about when you started reading books and you started just kind of being aware, was that the onset of you um wanting to change your mindset and helping others to change their mindset or their perspective of things.
So when that happened, it was the purpose of everything that I was doing was just to figure out how to live better, how to
Mm.
change my situation. And that was literally the turning point because what happened was I was working so hard
Mhm.
to change my external situation, to change my external circumstances, to control as much as I could people and situations. But all of that, everything that I was doing, I still felt stuck. I still woke up every morning with anxiety. I still lived in fear. I was still stressed out every day, feeling less than every day. So all of the stuff that I was doing, but I realized that I just kept hitting the same walls.
Mm.
And that's when I understood that real transformation has to come from within. I realized that I was directing and investing my energy to fix basically and control my environment and my circumstances when the real work is when we direct our energy inward and we start working on what's holding us back. It's not necessarily the outside, circumstances. It's not people. It's not situations. It's what's happening up here. It's our thoughts. It's our beliefs. It's mainly the limiting beliefs. That's what hold people back from, from what they want to create in life. You want to start a business and you feel not good enough.
Mhm.
You're working on something and you feel, well, I don't think this is going to work out for me.
Mhm.
And those are the things that we need to tackle. Those are the things we need to work on so that we can step into our full potential and have that confidence to go after what we want.
Mhm. That is so true. You described me um at some point that was me too. I was focused kind of like you say more on the external things. Um but once I started with like therapy and different resources, it helped me to get down to the root cause on the
Yeah.
inside. And that's when I was able to change my uh perception or shift my mindset. And so that
Yes.
was yeah, that was very helpful. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something else?
No.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, your experience as a CIA officer, how did that shape your perspective on resilience and personal growth?
Oh, I have to say that my experience as a CIA officer was one of the most intense and eye-opening chapters of my life. I think my next book is going to be dedicated to that. And I really feel that it taught me resilience in ways I never ever imagined. Having to handle high pressure situations, having to adapt quickly to uncertainty, to being able to make decisions rapidly. So imagine as someone who dealt with self-doubt for so many years, it was paralyzing for me to make decisions. But I had to learn how to make decisions quickly and effectively. But most importantly, I feel that it really reinforced a powerful truth for me, which is mindset is everything.
Mm-hmm.
I had to train my mind to stay focused, to stay adaptable. I had to pay attention to my inner chatter. What am I telling myself? The stories I'm telling myself in certain situations. Is that empowering to me or is that keeping me from my potential? Is that keeping me from what I'm trying to accomplish in this particular mission? And I feel that all of that learning and all of that knowledge, it really carried over to many areas of my life, including how I work now with my clients. I think it's mainly about building that mental resilience so
Mm-hmm.
that we can handle whatever life throws at us
Mm-hmm.
because it's not what happens in life, it's how we react, how we respond to what happens in life. That's what makes a difference.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, you mentioned your next book. So your book that you have now, do you want to share a little bit of information about it, where it can be purchased? You can talk about your book, and I'll definitely make sure to promote your book as well.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I actually co-authored a book with the legendary Les Brown. I have a chapter in his book. It's called Rise Above, and I have it. It is now on sale on Lulu platform. I can send you the information later.
Write this down. Okay. Um, the last question I have for you, for those who are struggling with fear and self-doubt, do you have any practical steps that they can take to start changing their mindset today?
I think the first thing that we have to understand, or the first thing that I really want to talk about is we have to understand what fear really is. And fear is always imagined. When we are in fear, we are worried about what could happen.
Mhm.
We're not afraid of what is happening right now. We are worried about what could happen. That's why we have fear and we have anxiety. Anytime we're dealing with fear and self-doubt and anxiety and overwhelm, we are operating from what we call a primal state of being. And when we do that, we are in the sympathetic nervous system. We are in a fight, flight, or freeze, which is basically survival. So our entire system, our entire energy is in survival. And when we are in survival, it's not a time to be inspired. It's not a time to be creative. It's not a time to have ideas. Your entire system just wants to survive. So we have to really be mindful of the thoughts that are happening in our head when we are in fear. We could be sitting in our comfortable, beautiful home, and next thing you know, you have a panic attack or you have an anxiety attack. It's not because of the environment. It's not because there is a threat to you in your own home, but it's because of whatever it is going on, is happening with you, and whatever it is you're imagining and what you're thinking about. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. You can have a happy thought and you feel happy. You can imagine something that hasn't even happened, but it's sad and you feel sad. The
Mhm.
brain doesn't really know the difference. So I think the first step for me, that I would advise anyone is to really understand what fear is. Let's say if we take an example of fear of failure. I start working on a new project or I start a business and I don't get the outcome that I want right away. Is that failure? But a lot of people, many of us can label it that way. But if you talk to me about that, I go, okay, well, what did you learn? We can reframe that that story basically and turn it into a learning experience, which is true. It's not failure. You learned something. So what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on the fact that you didn't get the outcome that you hoped for?
Mhm.
Or do you want to focus on the fact that you learned something? No, take that learning, do something with it, and next time, your next attempt is going to be better. It's not about what is happening right now. It's about what you're going to do with it, how you respond to it. So be mindful of your thoughts. And like I tell many of my clients, don't believe everything you think. Challenge those thoughts. When you have fearful thoughts, challenge them. Are they real? Is that true? Is there an imminent threat to you right now? And a lot of times, all of that is just imagined, and be able to shift your thinking, to shift your perspective, about whatever experience you're going through.
And so I was wondering if you don't mind, if you would like to share your contact information for people who may want to reach out to you for coaching, and if you have a final resonating thought that you would like to share.
Yes, you can find me at naimaspencer.com. That's my website, and I offer a discovery call for free. We can chat for an hour could tell me about whatever is going on, and I'll give you as much feedback as I can about your situation and whatever you feel like you need to work on. My final thoughts, like I just said, just one of my favorites, don't believe everything you think. Be mindful of your thoughts. It's really, really important, and try to spend as much time as possible in the present moment instead of being in our head most of the time.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today.
Um,
As a way to continue to break stigmas around mental health, a mindset change is one of the best things that I could have ever done for my mental health and just my life overall in general. I've been able to uh, attain a lot of goals um, that I was afraid of. And I don't know why I was afraid, but I was. And so, yeah, once I changed my mindset, it helped me accomplish a lot.
yeah, I believe it.
All right. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on, and I'll be in contact with you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you for
Have
your
a good
advice
one.
and help. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.